So it's important for people to realize that, but now more than ever, they need to support local stores. And I understand it's difficult for people sometimes, they don't want to make the trip downtown or whatever. And, I hear that. I don't think it's as much of a problem as it could be. And this is important for us because as people are laid off, and they will be during this tariff situation, there will be less disposable income. So this is a lot of the things we have here are discretionary. You don't have to buy them. You have to buy milk and eggs and meat. You don't have to buy a painting or a souvenir or a dish. So it's going to be tough for little stores like us. So every bit that people can do, instead of buying a card from, one of those mass-produced places in a big shopping center, if you buy something here, you're supporting a local business, which draws tourists in. Hi, my name is David Dawson. I'm an artist and the owner of Martello Alley and Martello on Brock. Welcome. I've lived in Kingston all my life, and I've often wanted to have my art in my own gallery. So I was thinking something more of a traditional gallery where you just put paintings on the wall. I stumbled across this place back in 2015, and it didn't look like this at all. It was kind of dark. It was all painted brown, and there was garbage in it and not very inviting. But this area here that it opens up to, it could be a beautiful courtyard. And I could kind of make it look like a little French street and this kind of thing. I wanted it to be outside as well, where the public could see it, even after hours, and where you could have art that is outside. It took me about 4 months to do. So using artist tools, basically your eyes, the talent, whatever talent you have, and some leftover paint, I painted the walls. I had to buy a special paint to paint the ground, so I was actually on my hands and knees with a sponge making this fake cobblestone kind of look. And I wanted a lot of bright colors because I wanted it not to look like Kingston. Before I came along, this was just used by the people coming and going into their apartments and coming and going into the back of the restaurant next door and the place where they'll put their garbage and the grease for the restaurant. So I thought of a kind of a clever way to disguise all of this unsightly stuff. So now you have a large lighthouse made of steel, but it's actually a garbage dumpster for the restaurant. Their garbage and recycling go in there. We get a lot of people who see it, and they drive 7-8 hours just to see Martello Alley. Not to visit Kingston, but to see Martello Alley. The most touching one was a young man who came in here just wondering what it was, and we got talking, and he told me on the way when he was inside that he wanted to go and get his hair cut, so I sent him to a place on the corner. She does a really good job, Kira. And then he said thank you, and he told me how much he loved it. Later on, Kira came over and told me that he had come to get his hair cut there, and I said, oh, happy to send him your way. She said, I wanted to tell you that he told me about the experience here, and he was feeling very depressed. In fact, almost he was feeling suicidal, and this place cheered him up. And I just could not believe that. It was just amazing. So, this has this kind of effect on you, and it's actually the #1 hidden gem in all of Ontario, and that makes me very proud. Back in 2019, in December, at the beginning of December, I learned that a store on Brock Street was closing, and the artists had 3 weeks to get everything out. And that was in December. So I was surprised and concerned because you never want to have businesses leaving downtown, especially at that busy time, because that's when you should be selling, not clearing out. So I went over there and I talked to the artists and suggested that they form a cooperative. But they were sitting on the sofa. It looked like a funeral. I felt really bad. They said, they told me that they weren't interested in doing that. They didn't want to run a store. They wouldn't mind being in one, but they didn't want to do the running of it. So I took over the lease and I invited them back, and many of them came back, and we created a new space. But we have an online store And if you go to our website, you can actually click on it and walk through it, just like a real estate, walk through, and it's updated regularly. Everything that we have, you can vision in our store just by going to that product and pressing the button and uploading a photo of your wall. And you can even view it in augmented reality. And it's all free to do. And in addition to that, they can purchase anything here. Everything and more that you see and more is online, and they can purchase it. There's no cost. It's a secure Shopify site, and we will deliver free for a wide area. And all they have to do is contact us if they have a question about this. So we want to remove all the excuses that people have for coming to shop downtown. I mean, honestly, it's lovely downtown. People who come to visit from anywhere else compliment us on our beautiful, clean, and accessible downtown. And it's really easy to get parking. It's easier than people think. But for those who can't come downtown, we're happy to deliver free of charge to quite a wide area. All they have to do is come and ask.